Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together. I need everybody inside the room right now to make some noise for Mr.
Ozman.
Okay, let's begin.
So we've been running for, I don't know, 15 minutes or something. And we're still way oversupplied here. See that these aren't having to run. I've put a power monitor on here. We can see that we've got enough power in the conduit storage at the moment that we don't even really need to run these very often. But the first problem we are having here, where this is our sort of intermediate buffer, and you can see here that it's filling right up with wheat. So I'm going to hope that this is just a teething issue. I'm going to take a bunch of wheat out, because the problem is if this fills up, then with just wheat, then seeds and the nature essence won't flow through to the rest of the system. So I'm just going to take that wheat out, and we'll just see if it's because I filled it up too much when I first started. But that could be a problem. There's a couple of ways we can get around that. The first is to replace this with an Ender IO storage system, which has an enormous capacity in a single block. But let's just watch what we've currently got. Again, it's handy because I can just open this up and look at it without an inventory panel. But that's the first thing I found. So I've got to keep an eye on this. The other thing we can do is we could turn this farm to just use 3 of the 4 possible quadrants and just actually reduce the amount of wheat coming out of the system. Or we could change one of these vats to use wheat instead of seeds. So we've got a couple of ways of tuning the system, but that's the sort of thing you need to look out for. Let it run for a while. So I'll keep an eye on that now. I'll just take some of this excess wheat out. We'll put it in a chest. But if we continue to see this creeping up, then we'll know that we need to take another step to reduce the wheat in the system, or we'll end up clogging it with wheat and not being able to do anything else. So there we go. But apart from that, look, we're not even generating plenty of power at the moment. And you'll see these are all full. These are all full. These aren't running. These aren't running. So we're not using anything like the power of the true capacity, throughput capacity we've built into it at the moment, which is good. I could double the number of, I'm sure I could double the number of combustion generators, and we still wouldn't be drawing enough power. What we need to do is find some stuff to power, I suppose. Alright, so progress update number 1. Well, next status update. So I had emptied this all the way, and you can see now that it's filling up a bit. It's filling up with seeds and with wheat evenly, so that's less of an issue, although it is slowly filling up. You can see that sugar is, we've got a buffer here, so the sugar hasn't backed up into here yet, because this can hold an awful lot. Okay, so we've got buffer of essence here, buffer of sugar here, into the chest. But the bottom line is that we're generating too much stuff here. So what I'll try doing is turning one quadrant of this off, but I'm definitely also eventually going to replace this with a much bigger storage unit, which will, it'll be less of an issue, but it'd still be better if this was more evenly balanced. So I'll see what I do there, and it is slowly filling up. The next big status update is I've upgraded the power line here. So this is a maximum of 5,120 redstone flux. This can carry an awful lot of power. This is your normal conduit, which you can see has a maximum of 640 redstone flux. So that's plenty to power all of this. Okay, so I don't need to worry about this, because these don't join directly together. Enhanced energy conduit won't join to an energy conduit. You have to use one of these in the middle. I'm using a power buffer. There's probably other things you could use, but that's what I'm using because it's inexpensive. It's got a buffer, just a buffer of 20,000, so it's a big buffer. But you can see that this can join, the enhanced can go in, and the normal can go out. Okay, so this is the redstone. This is my Ender IO equivalent of high tension power lines. So you can see I'm now running it up here, into here. So I've got another buffer here, so I can reduce the power that's going in from this enhanced into normal, into these machines. So these are all now, there used to be a chicken generator down here, these are all now running off that power plant. I could run the enhanced into everything, I suppose, but that would be overkill, and it is a more expensive thing to build. It requires different alloys. So it makes sense to me to only have a sort of backbone of the high tension power of the enhanced energy, and then just keep branching it off with these boxes, these buffers, into other systems. The only other thing I really need to power at the moment, of course, is my workshop up here, and then I'll build, you know, a storage warehouse. So that'll need power as well, and I'll need to power here. But yep, going well, going well. Okay, so I turned one quadrant of this off. When I look in this buffer now, it's still filling up with stuff, but it's a more even distribution. We're getting a bit more of everything. The important thing is that when this buffers up, it doesn't fill with just one thing, because if it fills with just wheat, then no seeds will get through and no nature essence will get through. So now we've got a more even balance of the various inputs going in. So I think if I were just to replace this with an Ender IO storage option, which was bigger, then I think this would be fine. I mean, the main problem we have, of course, is that we're just generating way more power than we need to, because we've just got all this huge capacity. I've run this over here, okay? So we're running this out of here into all of these machines, and I've pushed it under here and over to here. So now I've got another machine that's running on main power. The last thing I really need to do is to push power up to here, but I'm going to build my actual final storage warehouse and workshop before I decide how I'm going to push that cable. So what I might do now is just do some prettifying of this. Just get something that feels a little bit more industrial around the power station here. I'll use the chisel for that. I'll play around with chisel, work out what I'm going to do, and then I will let you guys have a look at what I do. So I'm playing around with chisel, and I've decided that what I'm going to use these factory blocks. I'll show you how they look. These are the, what are they called? Hang on. Caution framed plates. So if I put these around, so I'm going to have a kind of metal surface with these kind of warning things around the edge. So I'll just have a big metal floor for this all to sit on. It'll look much more industrial than the grass it's sitting on now. And the conduit facades, what's nice is the conduit facades work with the multi-block pattern. So I just continue it. Awesome. I was worried that they might not be that smart, the conduit facades, but it's not a problem. So let's lay this out and get to work. This is chisel. It's a way of refacing basically a block or a stack of blocks. So here you can see all the different possible factory block textures that chisel supports. This is the one I'm using. But it's a pretty cool way of just adding a little bit more variety to the blocks and textures that you're using without having to struggle with chisels and bits or anything really hardcore like that. Quite like it. Neat little mod. And there we go. We have this texture laid out nicely. What I might do is also, I brought the painting machine over here, obviously this is the place to use it. I might just put a grass texture on that. Conjure facade. Lovely. I could shrink of it. I could obviously stick all of this under the ground, but yeah, let's not lose sight of the fact that it is a it is a machine stuck together with facades. So I can expand this way if need be. I mean, I can cover over that machine there if I need to. I could put more power plants coming out to here. But here we go. Nice. Power plant. Done. Excellent work. Oh. I'm very pleased with that. Excellent. Now it's time to move on to some other Ender.io stuff then. Ender.io storage next. That's going to be a pain in some ways, but you won't get to have to watch all that because I'll do some clever editing. Anyway, awesome. Thanks for watching this one, gang. Cheers. It was a risky time for me. I'm playing around with the Ender.io storage. I've crafted the inventory system storage extended warehouse. If I'm not mistaken, we'll take everything in this chest and everything in all of those chests. And it's only that big. And it'll be the basis for a storage warehouse. So one or more of these should store all the things I could ever want ever. So if we look here, it's slowly pulling it out. We'll soon find out whether it'll take more than one. I mean, it wouldn't hurt if I took more than one of those things. Because, you know, it's hard to complain that a one by, you know, a single block can't store as much as all of these chests. But let's see. I've got to suck it out, and then I've got to break all of this down and make room for the warehouse, then plug it all back in and just hope all my stuff's still in it. Fingers crossed, gang. Well, I'm back. Very different setup to what I last showed you, which was very temporary. I've changed my mind how I'm going to do this. I've set up where I'm going to put my warehouse. Some funky chisels, panels here. Hooked it up to everything, and what I'm now going to do, which if I've hooked everything up correctly will work fine, is if I go around to each of these chests and I switch them to extract always, they should be emptying, and given that this stuff's all full, they should be emptying over into these. So the inventory will actually look the same. Excuse me, because the it's all connected in one system, so it's actually the same items visible in the same system, but there we go, that chest is emptied. So that's how I'm going to push everything over into the new system. I've got 4 of these great warehouse things in here. That's way too many, but it looked good, it looked symmetrical. I think I probably needed 2.5, maybe, for that full storage system. But that's how we're going to get it in there. So let's keep going. Extract always. Can take you out. Off you go. Churn, churn, churn. Take you out. So that's what I'm going to do. That's how I'll get everything across into my lovely new setup. So I'll let that run. We'll have a look when it's all done. Now, the back chests are all cleared. So it's time to get the big chest going. Okay, here we go. I'm going to put some speed upgrades in here, just to try and speed things along a bit. And we should be emptying. There we go. Now the interesting thing is if I look on here, I'll clear that. We shouldn't see any change in this, because as far as the inventory system's concerned, nothing's changing. It's moving around within the system, but the contents of the system are the same. So you'll see it going up and down as items are in the conduit, but that's about it. So these are items in the conduit, now it's gone to its destination. Pretty cool, but watch it go. Empty this out. I better get all my pets off, I suppose. Get them in too. They will obviously need a proper house. Some sort of pet house. That is a project well and truly for another day. How are we going? Just let this run, and when that's done I can chop it off and we can finish constructing this warehouse. And it's empty, fully emptied into the system. Awesome. We'll break you down. Get rid of you. And we're ready to go. Cool. Here's everything. All still there. With plenty of room to spare. I can return through here. Once I switch this to in-out. They're all in. What do? Oh, helps if you turn it on. There we go. New storage system. I'll finish building a slightly fancier building here. Now that I've got room. Again, using chisels, just to make it a little bit more interesting. So let's see what we're going to do here. I'll have a think, and I'll get it sorted, and off we go. Back in a sec. We're getting there with our build. I just wanted something that looks solid and slightly modern. It's got modern machinery in there, but I wanted sort of, I didn't want the rusty metal of the factory blocks or anything like that. This is a bit unadventurous, but it'll do for now. But chisel. So the way you can use chisel is you can turn blocks into chisel blocks. So I can just right click in the air, grab this, here's all the possible designs. So let's say I can change that to slanted, bingo, there we go. Slanted. Okay, I'm not going to use those. But as an example, the other thing you can do is once a block's placed, you can left click on it and change it. So I go through the glass here, find a glass that I like. That's alright, that looks kind of, yeah, that'll do. Then click, 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 click. Shoot through to find it. So you can produce bulk, obviously you can produce bulk blocks by right clicking into the air and then just getting a whole stack, and you know, here's all my factory blocks there. Turn them into rusty plate. There's 15. You can do 64 obviously, but if you've already placed and you want to experiment with how something looks in situ, just left click with the chisel and it changes it. Pretty neat way of adding interesting new textures. Don't know what I'm going to do for a roof yet, whether I'll have a pitched roof or a flat roof. But there we go. I'll have to work out some doors next. Anyway, onwards. So I seem to have gone a bit crazy with chisel and sort of turned my warehouse into an ancient Greek temple or something. I I was just kind of all caught up in having fun with Chisel and seem to have done that. This might need to be changed at some point, but anyway, at least it's got a roof on it now. And bizarre Celtic decorations, I suppose. Yeah, I did go a bit crazy there. But one thing I was doing in here that I thought I'd show you guys. Ender.io has a light, and if you give it a redstone signal, it gives off light. Now, you can power it as well, and then it gets... Excuse me. And then it gets even brighter. But this is a simple one. Just give it some redstone signal and off it goes. So what I've done is I've painted, using the painting machine, which we use to paint conduits. You can paint any solid block. So I've got a block of redstone. You can see it's still giving a redstone signal, but it looks like smooth sandstone. So I can put, that means I can put that straight into my ceiling and just put a light straight on it. In and in. Hey, nice. And I could get power running up there, I suppose, and you know, try and get by running power conduit that looks like the walls, and get a really bright light in there. But to be honest, I'm just happy with this for now. It provides enough light. So there's the warehouse. Again, it doesn't really look like a warehouse. It looks like a temple. Sorry about that. But all running. So the big storage transformation is done. I have got heaps of storage now. Oh, I also ran the power conduit. This is coming before. You can see I had a little power plant there. Running the power conduit now all the way from the power plant up the back. Got the fans whirring here to keep the all the machinery cool. That's just a factory block from Chisel. It's actually an animated texture, which is nice. And over here, you can see that we're still producing way more stuff than we are. We're producing way more stuff than the power plants need at the moment. So I've completely over-engineered this. You know, this will only switch on. They spend more time off than on. So well and truly over-engineered. But still, it's a fun build. So power plant done. Next will be the workshop. Actually, what I'll do next, take a break from Ender.io for a second, and I'll make some Tinker's Construct tools. I'll show you how that works, because you can do some really cool stuff with Tinker's Construct. So let me get some stuff. Oh, sorry, one more little quality of life thing I've done here. I can put things. Obviously, I can put stuff into the storage through this return area. That's my smooth sandstone. But what I've done is, where's my Yeta wrench? I've actually got a item conduit here. It's invisible, and if I got it sucking out things, so I can just place a Hermitron in there, and out it goes. So if I've got a whole Hermitron full of stuff that I want to put in here, much more than the return area can take, I can just put that Hermitron there on the floor, or a chest, any other storage item, and it'll get pulled into the storage system. So I'm really happy with how that's all turned out. I like this design. Maybe not the temple, but I like the layout and the idea. So there's my storage warehouse. Take you back. All right, let me get set up and we'll do some Tinker's tools. Be back directly.